think one of the biggest questions that comes up with young children is what is normal and what is not. And it's not a simple answer to that, because there's a wide range of what could be called typical behavior, particularly in the youngest children. In 2-3-year-olds, children start to get a little bit more organized in their behavior, a little bit better able to handle their emotions, to communicate as they get older. And so you see a sort of evening out over time. And yet it still worries parents. Is my child too aggressive? My child doesn't focus on anything. At what point should I be worried? For the most part, there is a big range of what toddlers will do. They might be running around for a long time, but then they find something that excites them or interests them, and they could sit down and do a pegboard for a lengthy amount of time. Does that mean that they don't have focus? Yeah, they have focus when they're doing something that they want to do. So it's hard to label something like hyperactivity, because I would say a majority of 2- and 3-year-olds would fall into that category, and you don't want to label children for being who they are. Aggression is another one. At what point does aggression cross the line that it's problematic? And what I would say is, parents can consult with their pediatrician. They can check in and say, hey, this is what my child's doing. Should I be worried? But when does aggression become a problem? It becomes a problem when it's the main mode of interacting, and other children are really shying away all the time. Not some of the time, but are really saying like, oh, I don't really want to be around that child. It's a problem if you really feel like your child is such a whirlwind, and they never sit at the table to eat a meal. They never sit down, even in front of, an activity or a toy that they like. But those are the outliers. And I think what people have to keep in mind is that these are tough ages, and children are active and children are aggressive, but when it becomes their main mode, you probably want to check in with your pediatrician about it. Parents worry as well about language. My child's not talking, a 1.5 or 2 or 2.5-year-old. At what point is it that my child's got a language delay, and at what point is it that my child's just on their own path to language? And I would say, if you're really worried about it, speak to your pediatrician or have a consult with a speech therapist. But it's not necessarily a problem. So when parents are worried about their child, one of the questions to ask is, how is your child doing at school? Because often you'll see behaviors at home where a child is most relaxed, they're most secure and trusting, that you won't necessarily see at school. So if the teachers are saying, oh yeah, she sits, she gets along with other children, for the most part, things are going well, then a parent has more reason to not be worried.